In all ways, Lannister armor is meant to signify the opulence of the house. Heartily constructed with crimson red and generously shot with gold, the Lannister armor is the walking embodiment of wealth and superiority. The rank and file of the Lannister troops sport uniform plate armor, easily standardized with the house's immense wealth. Ribbed plate protects the chest and lobstered steel provides protection for the arms and legs. Every Lannister shield is emblazoned with the great golden lion of their house. While only a half helm, the Lannister helmets provide significant protection to the neck and head while leaving the jaw exposed. This, and the adjustable visor, provides a high amount of comfort and breathability, while a large metal lip atop the helmet provides an additional barrier to blows while simultaneously adding height to the wearer, creating a more intimidating presence. Higher-ranking Lannister troops flaunt significantly more details upon their armor, with intricately crafted lion heads upon the shoulders and elbows. Brutal, hardy, and effective, much like its wearer, House Stark's armor trades flair for a highly practical design, forged to contend with the unforgiving harshness of their snow-covered home in the north. The primary component of any Starkman's mail is a thick leather gambeson. This functions not only as armor, but also as an insulating layer from the bitter cold of the north, as full plate armor is more effective at protecting a man from sword strikes than freezing temperatures. This is then layered underneath and over to suit the conditions. In particularly cold weather, several cloth layers will be equipped underneath. Whole animal skin cloaks will be worn above the armor. There is always one layer that consists of a chainmail shirt, and in some instances, a chainmail coif as well. Upon this rests a simple metal half-helm, plain looking, but perfect for deflecting blows aimed at the head. On top of all of this, some plate mail may be worn, but this is dependent on the wealth of the owner. This gives the Stark army a ramshackle appearance in some cases, but this doesn't take away from their intimidation, as the savage nature of the Starks in battle is well known. The armor of House Tully's most prominent feature is the jutting scales that comprise the bulk of their protection. Modeled after the fish that is the sigil of their house, the scales are designed to shed not only sword strikes, but also allow for the easy shedding of water that may cover them when fording the rivers of their homeland. The scales are bolstered with chainmail and leather to add additional protection to the wearer, while allowing higher maneuverability in the rapid streams and channels of the riverlands. We also see a significant bias in the armoring of the upper body, for when engaging in combat half submerged in water, heavy leg armor would not only slow the Tullys, but would also be redundant, as the water would disable most significant strikes aimed at the lower body. While a majority of the armor is colored in muddy blacks, greens, and browns, which do provide excellent camouflage, we occasionally see the flares of their colors in red, blue, and white on their shields and cloaks. The Boltons are the most terrifying house in the realm. Infamous for their cruelty, their armor is designed to reflect this, and the foreboding image their soldiers cast is used as an intimidation tactic. Dark black mail is highlighted with the blood-red visage of the flayed man as their sigil. This grim logo also adorns the shields of the Boltons as a reminder to their enemies. Their helmets come in many varieties, but most sport a ridge down the middle, and a lip around the brow is an effective way for redirecting blows aimed at the head. Occasionally, we see them with visors or adorned with spikes to add to the ominous presence. Foot soldiers wear heavy leather mail or coats of plates, but even more awful is their heavy shock cavalry, the flayed men. These elite units wear thick plate armor with metal shields as well. The horses themselves also come dressed in plate, and much of this armor wears grisly spikes, much like their preferred weapon, a gruesome spiked multi-flail. The armor of the Boltons is designed to strike fear as much as it is to protect the wearer. The proud Baratheons sport armor that exemplifies the power of their house. Heavy plate adorns high-ranking members of the army, who also wear large antlers signifying the sigil of their house, the mighty stag. The horns project an intimidating presence to any would-be opponent. While not every unit wears such armors, if faced against a stag, a combatant will know they are battling the elite of the Baratheon forces. Ever fond of heavy armor, many Baratheon troops use large plate mail suits for their protection. In the absence of the horned helms, many of these units still have carvings of deer adorning their breastplate. Underneath this can be layered a leather coat of plates or merely a padded tunic to provide an extra cushion against blows. Layered over, we often see the bright yellow-gold color of the Baratheons along with their sigil to ensure whoever they are up against may know it was a Baratheon who dealt the killing blow. The hardy and heavy armor of the Baratheons gives them a strong staying presence on the battlefield, with the thick metal being almost as stubborn as the men who wear it. Despite controlling the most powerful creatures known to exist, Targaryens do still find the need to armor themselves as well. Being the royal family, Additionally, Targaryen armor does not need to armor common soldiers, and is therefore always of the highest craftsmanship. Jet black and shot with red, the armor presents a domineering visage. This is further emphasized by the heavy ornamentation we see on it as well. A winged helmet is common, and occasionally it will come with whole dragon statuettes on the shoulder pads. These sets, however, are more commonly used in tourneys. In wartime, a Targaryen lord will typically opt for a more practical suit. These sets are all custom made for the royalty, yet keep many of the same trends, oftentimes seeing dragon scale plates, occasionally formed into pictures of dragons themselves. While there are many versions of this design, Targaryen armor will almost always sport the three-headed dragon which is the sigil of their house. The armor of House Martell is uniquely adapted for fighting within the harsh desert climates in their homeland of Dorne. Their use of lighter armor not only enables their desired fighting style, which relies heavily on subterfuge and hit-and-run tactics, but also adds increased survivability of their other great threat, the heat of their homeland. The Martells will often forego the use of a helmet to equip a turban that can be soaked in water to keep the wearer cool in the dry and arid landscape of Dorne, while offering less protection. Keeping the body temperature low allows for increased stamina as it wards off heat exhaustion. To protect the body, we see hardened fabric stretched over both sides of a thin sheet of metal, covered with the blazing sun that is their sigil. The fabric is a tan yellow, acting as a camouflage to allow them to melt into the sands at a moment's notice. While not common, the Martells will employ heavier armor for their specialty units, such as the helmets and extra limb armor we see on their shock infantry, all the way up to metal shields and plate armor on the Royal Guard. While not as rugged as the armor of other houses, this gives the Martells some staying presence. The armor of the Ironborn is unique amongst all of the great houses, as it provides a blend of heavy and light apparel to assist in their naval raiding tactics. Having a full suit of plate on a boat would simply be impractical, as a man who fell, even into relatively shallow water, would surely drown. However, they do wear heavier items, only in the form of objects that may be removed quickly, such as helmets, shields, and gauntlets, with the rest of their kit being cloth, leather, and occasionally chainmail. Along with their use of heavy weapons such as axes and warhammers, this gives them the speed of lighter troops, but the fighting style of more heavily armored combatants. There are certainly Iron Men who fight in full suits of heavy armor, but this is typically reserved for when the battleground is on land. The most intricate of these we see is the helmets, with splaying tentacles molded into the shape of a kraken, the sigil of their house. The Knights of the Vale epitomize the aesthetic of knighthood with their implementation of heavy armor, emphasized by their favor for mounted combat. Donning heavy layers of plate, an Arryn Knight's armor leaves little room for an enemy's blade to find purchase. Every Vale Knight sports cuirass to protect the torso, and we see varying levels of protection for the rest of the body, some opting for merely a chainmail shirt, and wealthier knights completely coating their arms in steel plate. A bassinet helmet is worn for head protection, either open face for higher visibility, or with a visor to add an extra layer of protection. High-ranking knights may even have decorative wings on the sides of their helm to represent the falcon that is the sigil of their house, and harken back to their house's founder, Artus Arryn, known as the Falcon Knight. Along with this, we see the sky blue of their crest being worn across their shields and surcoats, contrasted with the white falcon sigil. This makes an Arryn Knight a striking sight on the battlefield. All of these protections, coupled with their high skill in combat, make them a force to be reckoned with. The armor of House Tyrell is not only some of the most resolute to be found in the Seven Kingdoms, but also displays a beauty and craftsmanship little found in other arms and armors. Thick metal plates comprise the base of their protections. These are often stained in green and gold tints, along with inlays and engravings of various plants and flowers, with certain pieces, such as rondels, occasionally being carved into shapes such as a rose. Green capes and tunics further highlight the coloration of their forces, along with their sigil emblazoned on their shields, a golden rose growing on a lush field of green, as if to scream their house's words, growing strong. A particularly wealthy house, the Tyrell's armors offer a high level of protection and a degree of standardization not seen in most other houses, though there is a fair bit of variation in helmet choice, from simple bucket helms, open or closed-faced, visored great helms, and even the decorative jousting helms wrought with vines and foliage.